friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 92. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and today is Friday, September 15th. Thanks so much for joining me today. So I'm going to say at the outset, I think this is going to be a short video, but you know, I have thought that in the past and it hasn't turned out to be very short, so who knows. But anyway, Flosstube has to do with cross stitch, and Variety Show has to do with other things, other topics. We'll just have to discover what that is. If you watched my video last week and really in the past few weeks, you know that we've had a friend here. My friend Anne has visited us for the past few weeks, and we had a great time of games and such, and I'll say more about that later. It has meant, of course, that my routine has been not usual, including my cross-stitching time. My quilting time has been spent a little differently than normal. And that's fine. That's wonderful, actually, because that's great. We had a fun time. But that does mean that's one of the reasons I think this might be a shorter video than usual. But I will just show you Mathilde. This is from France, a sampler from France in the Letters from Europe red box by Nicola Parkman. And so the alert among you will know that I worked down in this corner right down here. That's really all. I picked it up last night for a few minutes and did a little bit. And I worked on it some today, but we were pretty busy playing games and doing a couple of other things. So I didn't spend much time on it, which is fine. Jane Thompson, I put a couple of days in, of abbreviated days, I guess you would say. This is from the Scarlet House. This is the exclusive through Shepherd's Needle and the Facebook group, the Homespun Needlework Facebook group, I think it is. I'm doing this on 36 count Sleeping Bear, which is the called for fabric, using the NPI silks. So what I did is I carried the main viney part of the border over a little farther. Let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it goes around about 8 of those bumps up, and then a diagonal thing. So the width of it is around about here. And then I worked on putting some more of those leaves in the other shade of green and another flower. Now, I mentioned last time, I'd done 2 flowers, and I mentioned last time that this one I actually got the colors in the wrong place. Turns out I put the colors in the place that this flower is charted to have them. So I think what I'm going to do is, for the time being, I'm going to leave the incorrect flower and just see when I get it done, or when I get more of the border done or something, I'll decide if I want to take that out or not. I like this linen. This is very pretty color. It's sort of a warm, not warm. It's a sort of a true brown, light brown linen, which I am enjoying stitching on. As I say, I worked on that maybe 3 different days, maybe 4. Now, the bulk of my stitching time this past week has been on Winter Rose Manor with a needle and thread. A million people have stitched on this. Some of you who watch my videos are working on it. And what I did this time, I mean, it seems like I haven't gotten much done. I mean, Emily, how could you say the bulk of your stitching time? But really, I spent a lot of time on it. I finished the siding of the house, and I started the roof. Now, one of my viewers asked in a comment what I thought was supposed to happen with the corner of the house here. There's a, you know, the three-dimensional nature of the house. if you look at the pattern, if you look closely at it, you'll see there is a line down there, or there's some indication that there's a corner there. So what did I think was supposed to happen there? Well, according to the pattern instructions, what's supposed to happen there is a single thread of the color, the same color that is the siding of the house, is a vertical line there. But I was going to actually ask, I was going to look on Instagram and find some people who've stitched it, and the person who immediately comes to mind is Carol Saltbox Stitcher, and actually Brenda of Brenda Sampler Stitcher on Instagram, Brenda and the Serial Starter. I think they've both stitched it and framed it, and so I possibly will see if I can get an answer from them as to what they did there. But the pattern says a single vertical back stitch. Now, the steps, the pattern says the same thing about the steps. Now, can you see that? I can just see it. I was thinking of going over that with another thread, so essentially doing it with 2 threads. I'm using the called for, this is Brenda's Brew, is the color of the linen, and all of the called for overdyed cotton flosses. Now, it was interesting because in Carol Saltbox Stitcher's YouTube video, I think her most recent one I watched within the past week or so, maybe 2 weeks, she was showing something that she wanted to work on, and she said, I think I'm going to try to use the lighter version of Brenda's Brew. And as you know, if you've watched my videos, I have bemoaned the fact that the linen is so dark and some of these colors don't really seem to show up on it very well. So it makes me think that the lighter version of Brenda's Brew might have been more suitable. But then the house wouldn't show up as well, I think. So, I don't know. I think, as I've said before, it's fine. It's all fine. It does, I mean, it's a lesson, some lessons learned about selecting fabric and threads, though, which hopefully I can put into practice. So that is all I've worked on. Well, I worked on Sampler 193, the red one, a bit, 400 stitches or so, but you can't really discern it. So that's all I was going to show you today about cross stitch. So that's the end of Flosstube. So now we're into variety show. So what in the world, Emily? What are you going to talk about? So let me just tell you. Last night, Anne, well, I'll back up just a moment. We have had some Christmas presents over the past 2 years between Anne and us, or Anne and myself, that have been, you know, bigger, larger scope gifts that required some things to be done that were not just immediate. It wasn't just going to a store and buying a particular thing. So one of them was the quilt that I made for her, which I have mentioned, and which if Cindy and I do a video, whenever we next do a video, I'll show more pictures of that. I just teased it a little bit last time. That was a present for me to her about not 2022's Christmas, but 2021. And her present to me in Christmas of 2021 was a coupon entitled me to have her pay for the framing of a cross-stitch piece. I don't know why that happened. But there's going to be no editing. I'm sorry, the camera's wiggling a bit. It'll calm down. I'm sorry. And then, of course, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but oh well. In fact, let me just do one more thing that might help matters here. Okay, I wonder if that might help. because I did also get a text close to the time, or sort of at the moment that the camera went off. Okay, back to Christmas. Christmas 2021, a coupon offering to pay for the framing of a cross-stitch piece. And she said, you know, whatever piece I want, which at that moment, I didn't have a finished piece that I was aching to get framed. And I think she imagined that Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather would be finished within the year. That would have been 2022. And that would be fun to have framed. And indeed, that will be great to have framed when it's finished. But, you know, without having anything framed, I didn't really have an urgency to finish up something in order to have it framed. And so that sort of sat to the side. But the 12 Church Street house cross stitch that I showed a few videos ago that I stitched in 1987, as you remember, I couldn't really show it because the glass, there was so much glare and so on. So I had to take some specific photographs of it. And in the course of hanging it on the wall, the paper that seals the back was a little bit torn in a couple places. And in fact, it was the whole piece was a little bit loose in the frame. And so she suggested that getting good glass, that is anti-glare, museum quality glass on that might be a worthwhile use of my Christmas present, which I thought was a great idea. And so this past week, we took it to a local frame shop and arranged that. So in a few weeks, that'll come back from the framers, and I'll be able to show it. Which it's too bad that Leslie, who will be here for just a day next week, 10 days from now, as we get ready to go to England together, will not see that, because I doubt it will be back by then, but who knows? Maybe it will. Anyway, so that got taken care of. So that was Christmas 2021, check. But last Christmas, Anne gave me, as a present, the promise of something that is just sort of on my bucket list of things to experience, which is Japanese A5 Waygu steak. And at Christmas time, last Christmas, we weren't able to execute it for various reasons, but we were able to execute it yesterday. So you should, if you're interested in fancy steaks, you should go onto YouTube and look for Japanese A5 is the category of the most marbling. And you wonder, so when you see these steaks, you just wonder, how could that animal have even moved? There's so much. So marbling is a euphemistic word for fat deposits in the muscles. How could that animal have moved? Because their muscle is so infiltrated with fat. How could it have ever done anything? But apparently they did. I mean, they do. The cows, steers, bovine creatures who produce this steak. And, you know, with some trepidation, I allowed her to buy some little cubes, 2 inches square cubes. And would you imagine that would be enough steak for somebody? Well, so she cooked it in a cast iron frying pan as directed in some videos, and it was unlike, we agreed, it was unlike anything either of us had ever tasted before. It was unique. It was, the word unctuous comes to mind, that mouthfeel of extreme silky richness and a true beefy taste. It was just outstanding, and she did an outstanding job cooking it. It had a nice sear on it, you know, the brown crunchy outer layer and this, well, buttery, kind of buttery, silky, beefy inside. It was great. And so that my husband, who wasn't really interested in the Wagyu beef, or I should say not enough interested in it, for him to have something special too, she got him a piece of dry-aged New York strip steak, which he shared a little bite of with each of us, and it was also very good. But it was good. It was, if that had been the only steak going on our plates, it would have been stupendous. We would have exclaimed at how good it was. But the Wagyu beef was out of this world. And it made us think back and sort of reminisce about some other amazing meals we've had. One amazing meal we had together was, I don't know, 12 or 15 years ago, somewhere back in those days. A group of friends, Anne and I and three other friends went to Fearrington House. And Fearrington House is a 4-star Michelin restaurant. It's a I don't know how many stars. I think it's a Michelin restaurant, but it's certainly, whatever it is, it's an amazing restaurant, excellent restaurant, about 15 miles from here. And we went and we had an amazing meal, the 5 of us, and a wonderful experience together. And, you know, the service is excellent and the setting is excellent, and there's no trouble hearing the people you're at the table with, unlike many restaurants these days. And so we were reminiscing about that, and my husband was saying that he never felt the need to go there again, and Anne and I were saying we'd like to go there again. So so anyway, it was fun to, this outstanding, excellent, amazing meal, which wasn't just the steak. There was also a wonderful dish called, I think it's called just simply turnips and carrots, but you cook rutabaga actually is much better than turnips in this dish because it's a little bit less harsh. Rutabaga and carrots, you cook them separately and you run them through a food mill. So they're not mashed per se, but they're milled, riced, you know, sort of like riced, if you rice potatoes, and a touch of nutmeg and butter and salt and pepper and a teaspoon of sugar or so, just to sort of smooth out any edge that might remain from the rutabaga. That's a spectacular vegetable. And a potato dish, a German potato dish that is made up of potatoes and bacon and onions. Sounds good to me. Oh, butter. Yes. So, right? No problem with that. So yes, it was a spectacular meal. Yeah. And that took quite a bit of our attention and our sort of mental energy yesterday, even though it didn't take much time at all to cook the steak. So, but it was very fun. And another thing we've been doing the past couple weeks that she's been here is we've been watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. We've been watching 1 or 2 episodes a night, which is quite an indulgence, especially the nights when we watch 2. And I think to myself, well, Emily, you can cross-stitch while you're watching that because you've seen those many times before, but they are absorbing. The good ones are really good. And we were in seasons 3 and 4, which are the heart of the series, and really seasons 3 through 5 are the best episodes. So now that she's gone, I won't have anyone to watch them with, but I will probably still watch. Maybe not one every day, but who knows? Maybe I will. So what else? Anything else going on? Well, you know, after she left at lunchtime today to begin her drive home, the house feels a little blank. And so I just had to do something a little different. So I started, I don't have the box handy, but I do have the instruction book handy. This is a Lego bonsai. which I may have shown the box before, but I started working on this. So you build this little tray that it grows in, and then you fill the tray with pebbles, which are 3 different or 4 different colors of little Lego pieces that you just sort of pour in there as pebbles. And you build the trunk, and I'm just now starting to create the leaf portions. So let me see, I have another one within reach, right? Yeah, this is one of the leaf portions. And this kit comes with the greenery type of tree, or you can also create the flowers, the pink cherry blossom type. So that'll be fun to do that. I'll finish that up, maybe even this evening. It's not a huge kit. I think it's around 450 pieces or so, maybe less. I mean, maybe more, but 50 of the piece or 200 of the pieces are these little pebbles, so they don't really count, right? The way you do that, the instructions show you that you have package number 3, and package number 3 has 4 individual packages of 4 different colors of these pebbles. And so it shows in the instructions that you pour all 4 packages into the big package, and then you shake it, and then you pour it in the base of this thing. And, you know, that's funny. But I will probably just take some still pictures of this. Well, I don't know. I might keep it up before. I might keep it together before the next video. That is through the next video, which will be next Friday. So I was working on that. What else? I did take a note or 2 that I thought I might say. Oh yes. Another thing I've been doing is thinking about the trip to England. Now, since we had 2020, which was a stay-at-home year, and 2021, which is at least partially a stay-at-home year, and since I retired at the end of 2020, it's been probably 4.5 years since I've even thought about buying any new jeans. And I thought, I'm going to England, I should have some new jeans. And so I ordered some, and I got them from Land's End, which is where I like to get my jeans. And I found some that I thought would be nice, and they are nice. I'm wearing a pair right now. I did have to shorten them, which I always do, because that's just how it is, which is fine. It's that's understandable, and it's not hard to do, nor is it it's not unexpected or something that isn't fair. It's not unfair that some of us have to shorten our jeans. But when I tried it on, as one does, I straightened out the pockets, and I found that my hand barely fit in the pockets. I'm talking about the pockets here in the front of jeans. So I thought, oh, this is odd. I bet you I can't fit. I'm right at this moment, I'm looking around for my phone. Well, that's what I'm recording in, so never mind that. I wonder if my phone will fit in this pocket. And of course, it was ridiculous. Half of it stuck out of the pocket. I'm only slightly exaggerating that. So I have spent some time making the pockets longer in these new jeans, which that I do think is unfair. So I have an Apple, an iPhone something plus, whatever the larger size is, Pro, or I can't remember the exact name of it. And it's a large phone, it is. But it's not the largest phone on the market, and it wasn't specially made for me. I didn't say I want a special phone that's a size that's larger than anybody else's phone. It is a common size of phone available in many brands, not just Apple, in the United States and indeed around the world. But we'll only talk about United States because that's where I was getting these jeans from. And it won't fit in the pockets. Now, I decided I would write a letter to the company, and so I found a way to communicate with them, and I said, so I bought the jeans, they fit great, I really like the fabric and so on, but I can't believe how short the pockets are. There is no way that a man would have to have his pockets altered in order to be able to put his phone in his pocket. But I have to do that with my jeans. Please make future editions of women's jeans with long enough pockets for us to put our phones in our pockets. And, you know, I was nice about it. But I think it's just crazy. It's crazy. It really is. But since I have a sewing machine, I have some fabric, I have some know-how, I know how to fix this. I know how to make the pockets long enough so that I can put my phone in my pocket. And it is true that many women keep their phone in their purse a lot of the time. And I mentioned this to a friend of mine. She said, "You mean you don't carry your phone in your back pocket?" And I don't, because I don't feel like I want to sit on it. And it's possibly pickpocketed there more easily than in a front pocket, especially a deep enough front pocket that, you know, it would be difficult for somebody to unobtrusively stick their hand in that pocket to steal my phone from me. So anyway, that was kind of weird. The other thing I'm about to start doing, which you'll hear more about in the next video, is getting ready to go to England. Because I will make a video next week, Lord willing, next Friday. Then I won't, because I'll be in England. Or at least I won't. I don't think I will. It's hard to imagine that I would decide that that's how I want to spend my time. But then, nor the next Friday. So 2 Fridays I'll be gone. And then after that, I will. So sometime around mid-October. One next week, don't miss it, and then missing 2 weeks because of being away. And I'll tell you about the trip and what we have planned and so forth next week. So that is surely enough. Surely. Why do you keep calling me Shirley? Okay, that's enough for now. I hope that you all are enjoying your stitching or your fall weather. We've had a beautiful day today. Or anything else that you have planned, that you'll have a great weekend, a great week, this coming week. And whatever is going on, I hope it's great. Thanks for joining me today. If any of you are new to this channel, I really appreciate your tuning in. Hope you found something interesting. Normally I have a little more cross-stitch to show. And after the Great British Sampler weekend, I'm sure I'll have endless stuff to talk about between the trip and the cross-stitch experience and people I plan to meet. Again, if you are someone who's attending that and you're watching this video, I'd love to see you mention that in the comments. And I guess that's all. Thanks for watching. Many blessings, friends.